There comes a point in your life when you realize something painful. You have been explaining yourself to people who were never trying to understand you. You explained your intentions. You explained your silence. You explained your pain. You explained your boundaries. You explained why you were tired. You explained why you changed. You explained why you finally walked away. And still they misunderstood you. Not because your words were unclear, but because some people are committed to seeing you through the version of you that benefits them. The weaker version. The available version. The apologetic version. The version that always came back. The version that needed approval. The version that explained everything just to be treated with basic respect. But the moment you stop explaining yourself, everything changes. Because the truth is this: not everyone deserves access to your reasons. Not everyone deserves a private tour through your mind. Not everyone deserves the emotional labor of your explanations. And not everyone who questions you is looking for truth. Some people only question you because they want to weaken your confidence. They ask why you changed, not because they care, but because your growth makes them uncomfortable. They ask why you are distant, not because they miss your soul, but because they miss your access. They ask why you stopped talking, not because they want peace, but because they want control. And if you are not careful, you will spend your whole life trying to prove your heart to people who benefit from doubting it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that we cannot control the opinions of others. We can only control our own character. And that is where your freedom begins. You do not need to be understood by everyone. You need to understand yourself. You do not need to be approved by everyone. You need to act in alignment with your values. You do not need to explain every decision. You need to live with enough discipline that your life itself becomes the explanation. The Stoic does not waste his peace defending his soul in front of people who have already decided to misunderstand him. He learns when to speak. And more importantly, he learns when silence is the higher form of strength. Because every explanation costs energy. Every attempt to be understood by the wrong person pulls you away from yourself. Every time you over-explain, you give someone else power to judge whether your feelings are valid. And that is where many people lose themselves. They do not lose themselves all at once. They lose themselves one explanation at a time. One apology they did not owe. One paragraph they should not have sent. One conversation that went in circles. One emotional defense in front of someone who was never listening. One desperate attempt to be seen by someone who only wanted to win. And slowly they begin to believe that their peace depends on being understood. But it does not. Your peace begins when you stop making your truth dependent on someone else's acceptance of it. You can be honest and still be misunderstood. You can be kind and still be criticized. You can have good intentions and still be accused. You can walk away for the right reasons and still be called the villain. Let them. This is one of the hardest lessons on the path of self-mastery. People will create stories about you to protect themselves from the truth of how they treated you. They will say you changed. They will say you became cold. They will say you think you are better than them. They will say you abandoned them. They will say you are difficult, sensitive, selfish, dramatic, or distant. But sometimes what they call distance is simply self-respect. Sometimes what they call selfishness is simply you no longer betraying yourself. Sometimes what they call coldness is simply you no longer offering warmth to places that only gave you pain. And you do not need to explain that to everyone. Because the people who truly know your heart do not need constant proof. And the people committed to misunderstanding your heart will reject the proof anyway. So why exhaust yourself? Why keep entering the court of public opinion with your soul on trial? Why keep presenting evidence to people who enjoy judging you? Why keep explaining your boundaries to those who only respected you when you had none? At some point, you must stop trying to convince people that your pain was real. You know what you felt. You know what happened. You know what it cost you to stay. You know what it took to leave. That is enough. A disciplined person does not need the entire world to validate his experience. He learns to trust his own inner witness. He learns to say, I know my truth. I know my intention. I know my limits. I know why I had to move differently. And that is enough. The first rule is simple. Stop explaining your boundaries. A boundary is not an argument. A boundary is not an invitation to negotiate. A boundary is not something you set only after everyone agrees with it. A boundary is a standard. If you say no, you do not need to write an essay about why. If you need distance, you do not need to justify your healing. If you choose silence, you do not need to prove that you are not angry. If you walk away, you do not need to convince people that you had enough reasons. People who respect you may ask questions. but they will not punish you for having limits. People who love you may feel hurt, but they will not make your boundary all about their ego. People who value you may need time to understand, but they will not use your honesty as a weapon against you. The wrong people do not want explanations. They want openings. They want you to explain so they can debate your pain. They want you to justify your decision so they can find weakness in it. They want you to speak long enough so they can twist your words. They want you emotional enough so they can call you unstable. This is why silence is sometimes the most powerful boundary. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you finally understand that some conversations only exist to drain you. The second rule is this: stop explaining your growth to people attached to your old version. When you grow, not everyone will celebrate. Some people loved you most when you were easier to control. They loved the version of you who said yes when you wanted to say no. They loved the version of you who apologized just to keep peace. They loved the version of you who answered every message immediately. They loved the version of you who tolerated disrespect because you were afraid to lose people. But growth changes your access. Growth changes your energy. Growth changes what you accept. Growth changes what you no longer chase. And to people who benefited from your lack of boundaries, your healing will look like betrayal. Let it. You are not required to remain small so others can feel comfortable. You are not required to keep bleeding just because someone liked you better wounded. You are not required to keep performing the same personality just because people are used to it. A tree does not explain why it grows. The sun does not explain why it rises. A person who is becoming stronger does not need permission from people who preferred them weak. The third rule is this: stop explaining your silence. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it removes their control. When you stop reacting, they can no longer predict you. When you stop defending yourself, they can no longer pull you into chaos. When you stop explaining, they can no longer feed on your energy. This is why some people will provoke you harder when you become quiet. They will send messages designed to trigger you. They will make comments designed to make you defend yourself. They will accuse you of things just to see if you still care enough to respond. Do not take the bait. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves your energy. Stoicism teaches restraint. And restraint is not weakness. It is power under control. Anyone can react. Anyone can shout. Anyone can send a long emotional message at midnight. But it takes strength to stay centered when your ego wants to prove a point. It takes discipline to let people misunderstand you when you know the truth. It takes maturity to choose peace over the need to have the last word. The fourth rule is this: stop explaining your worth. If someone needs constant reminders to treat you with respect, they are not confused. They are comfortable. They are comfortable taking from you. Comfortable ignoring your needs. Comfortable giving you less than you give them. Comfortable receiving your energy without protecting your heart. And if you keep explaining your worth to them, you are teaching them that your value is negotiable. But your worth is not a debate. You do not need to convince someone to value what they are already choosing to ignore. You do not need to prove that you deserve effort. You do not need to beg for basic decency. You do not need to sell your soul to people who are committed to discounting it. The Stoic understands: respect is not begged for. It is embodied. You embody it by walking away from repeated disrespect. You embody it by choosing peace over attention. You embody it by refusing to chase those who treat your presence like an option. You embody it by becoming unavailable to people who only value you when you are useful. The fifth rule is this: stop explaining your decisions to people who do not live with the consequences. This is your life. You are the one who carries the weight of your choices. You are the one who loses sleep. You are the one who feels the anxiety. You are the one who pays the emotional cost of staying where you do not belong. So why are you giving voting power to people who do not have to live inside your mind? People will judge your decisions from a distance. They will give opinions without understanding your pain. They will tell you to forgive what they never had to endure. They will tell you to stay in situations that are slowly destroying you. They will call you selfish for choosing peace they do not have to protect. Listen carefully. Advice is easy when you do not carry the consequences. So take counsel with wisdom. But do not surrender your life to people who only watch from the outside. You can hear opinions without obeying them. You can respect people without allowing them to control your direction. You can listen calmly and still choose differently. The sixth rule is this: stop explaining yourself to people who only listen to respond. Some people do not listen to understand you. They listen to collect ammunition. They wait for one sentence they can twist, one weakness they can use later, one emotional moment they can bring up when they want power over you. These people do not deserve the vulnerable parts of your story, because vulnerability without discernment becomes self-harm. You must learn who has earned access to your inner world. Not everyone deserves the full explanation. Some people deserve a simple sentence. Some people deserve silence. Some people deserve distance. Some people deserve nothing more than your absence. This is not cruelty. This is wisdom. The Stoic knows that peace is protected through discernment. He does not place sacred things in careless hands. He does not explain his wounds to those who might reopen them. He does not share his dreams with those who mock growth. He does not reveal his heart to those who have shown they cannot hold it with respect. The seventh rule is this: stop explaining why you changed. Change is evidence that you are alive. If you are the same person you were 5 years ago, something is wrong. Pain should teach you. Failure should refine you. Betrayal should sharpen your discernment. Solitude should deepen your self-awareness. Discipline should rebuild your identity. So yes, you changed. You had to. You became quieter because noise cost you too much. You became selective because availability drained you. You became distant because closeness with the wrong people almost destroyed you. You became focused because you wasted too much time trying to be understood by people who did not even understand themselves. There is no shame in changing. The shame would be staying the same after life showed you the truth. Do not apologize for growth. Do not shrink your transformation to make others comfortable. Do not return to your old patterns just because someone misses the version of you they could use. Let them miss the old you. You are not going back. The eighth rule is this: stop explaining your healing. Healing often looks strange to people who only knew you in survival mode. When you begin to rest, they may call you lazy. When you begin to say no, they may call you selfish. When you begin to protect your energy, they may call you distant. When you begin to choose yourself, they may say you have changed. But healing is not a performance. You do not need to make your recovery understandable to people who benefited from your exhaustion. You do not need to explain why you need peace. You do not need to justify why certain places no longer feel safe. You do not need to defend why you no longer want to be around conversations that make you feel small. Healing requires privacy. Not everything sacred should be public. Some battles are won silently. Some growth happens in rooms nobody sees. Some strength is built when you stop announcing what you are repairing. This is why the wisest people often become quieter as they grow. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they have learned the cost of giving words to the wrong people. The ninth rule is this: let your actions become your explanation. There is a time to speak, and there is a time to let your life speak. People say you cannot change, let your discipline answer. People say you are weak, let your consistency answer. People say you need them, let your independence answer. People say you will come back, let your silence answer. People say you are nothing without them, let your growth answer. Do not waste your life correcting every false story. Build something so real that lies cannot reach it. Become so steady that accusations no longer move you. Become so focused that distractions lose access to your attention. Become so grounded that misunderstanding no longer shakes your identity. This is real power. Not the power to control what people think, but the power to no longer be controlled by what people think. Marcus Aurelius understood that people will judge, criticize, misunderstand, and speak carelessly. But he also understood that the soul must not be ruled by outside noise. If someone misunderstands you, let them. If someone underestimates you, let them. If someone creates a false story about you, let them. If someone cannot see your value, let them. Your task is not to manage every opinion. Your task is to manage your character. Stay honest. Stay disciplined. Stay calm. Stay focused. Stay aligned. Because at the end of your life, you will not answer for every rumor. You will answer for whether you lived in truth. You will not answer for whether everyone understood you. You will answer for whether you understood yourself. You will not answer for whether everyone approved of you. You will answer for whether you betrayed yourself to receive that approval. So choose carefully. Every time you over-explain to the wrong person, you are asking them for permission to be at peace. But peace does not come from permission. Peace comes from alignment. Peace comes from knowing you acted with integrity. Peace comes from choosing dignity when your ego wanted defense. Peace comes from walking away without needing a final applause. Peace comes from no longer placing your worth in the hands of people who mishandled you. This does not mean you become cold. It means you become clear. You can still be kind. But you no longer confuse kindness with self-abandonment. You can still forgive. But you no longer confuse forgiveness with unlimited access. You can still listen. But you no longer confuse listening with surrender. You can still love people. But you no longer lose yourself to keep them. That is the balance. A soft heart. A strong spine. A calm voice. A clear boundary. A peaceful mind. A life that no longer needs to be constantly explained. From this day forward, stop handing your energy to people who only use your words against you. Stop explaining your no. Stop defending your distance. Stop apologizing for your growth. Stop trying to prove your heart to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. Stop letting your peace depend on being seen correctly by people who benefit from seeing you wrong. You are allowed to choose silence. You are allowed to choose distance. You are allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to leave conversations that turn your truth into a debate. You are allowed to stop giving access to people who only bring confusion, guilt, and exhaustion. You do not need to be cruel. You do not need to be loud. You do not need revenge. You do not need to explain the entire story. Sometimes all you need is the quiet strength to say, "This no longer deserves my energy," and then move forward. Because the strongest people are not the ones who explain the most. They are the ones who know when their silence protects their peace. They are the ones who can be misunderstood without abandoning themselves. They are the ones who can walk away without needing the world to clap for them. They are the ones who understand that not every soul deserves a seat at the table of their mind. So let your life become the answer. Let your peace become the proof. Let your discipline become the explanation. And let your silence become the boundary. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to LifeCodes for more videos on Stoicism, psychology, discipline, and self-mastery. And remember, you do not owe everyone an explanation. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all.